November, we noticed Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz buying stock in a company called Viasat. And it really caught our eye because it was the first time we'd seen her buy the stock. It was the first time we'd seen any member buy the stock.
Okay, so Debbie Wasserman Schultz sits on the Appropriations Committee and the Subcommittee on Military Construction. That's not a good look right off the bat.
And then in December, it was announced that Viasat would be awarded part of like a $4 million NASA contract, and the stock just rose.
Looks like they got another big contract also with the Department of Defense right after the NASA contract.
A couple of years ago, we saw Representative Susie Lee buy stock in a company called Rheinmetall, which is a German defense contractor, which, I mean, that rang alarm bells for us because it's like it was a stock we hadn't really seen any members trade before, and obviously very tied into U.S. defense policy.
It's like they're doing a lot of work with the Army lately. Tank modernization. I bet there's big money in that.
Susie Lee sat on a committee on military construction, and since then the stock's risen like I think 250%. Last year we saw Senator Mark Wayne Mullen buy stock in a company called Badger Meter, which really caught our attention because Badger Meter makes automated water meters, and Senator Mark Wayne Mullen sits on the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, and we learned that the EPA had recently passed a mandate basically encouraging cities to switch to automated water meters. The year following the trade, Badger Meter stock rose around 40% before Senator Mark Wayne Mullen closed his position.
I don't know if you know about this, but a bill just hit the House floor this week that would hold every member of Congress accountable for corruption. And it had bipartisan support. It passed the committee. It had the votes to pass. And Hakeem Jeffries just told his entire caucus to vote it down. Not because it goes too far, because it would expose what Democrats have been doing behind closed doors for years. And of course, the media isn't even covering this. They don't want you to see what's in the bill or why leadership is so desperate to kill it. So let me show you exactly what they're protecting. A new report just dropped. Congress made, ready for this, 6,170 stock trades in just 16 months. 56% of those trades overlapped with industries those same congressional people, the same Congress members were actively regulating. And in Bill Hakeem Jeffries just killed, it would have forced every single one of them to stop the insider trading. That's why he blocked it. Not because it wasn't strong enough, because it was too strong. One Democrat has made nearly 25,000 stock trades while serving in Congress. That wasn't a typo. I didn't misspeak. 25,000 trades. And you know him, the great socialist that he is, Ro Khanna, a Democrat from Silicon Valley, placed roughly 42 trades per week across 1,378 different stocks. The guy has been just trading like he's Warren Buffett, actually more than Warren Buffett. When he entered politics, his net worth was around, 800 grand. Today, Ro Khanna is up there in nearly $200 million. He sits on the Armed Services Committee. He sits on the Oversight Committee. He has access to classified briefings, defense contracts, and military intelligence. And he's making 42 trades a week. One man, Ro Khanna, one man accounts for nearly 25% of all congressional stock trades on record. And you probably thought Nancy Pelosi was the bad one. And guess what else? Nancy Pelosi is still at it. This year alone, she has purchased $1 million to $5 million in Intel call options and another $500,000 to $1 million in Uber options. Her estimated net worth, $636 million. Oh, by the way, she entered Congress in 1987 worth less than $800,000. Her career return has beaten the S&P 500 by over 150 points, an 87% win rate as well. Better than every hedge fund on Wall Street.
Pelosi reportedly raking in more than $130 million in profits from trading stocks during her 37 years in Congress. That's according to a new report by the New York Post. The former House Speaker saw a whopping return of nearly 17,000% while in office, outperforming the Dow. For taking office in 1987, a financial forum showed California Democrat and her husband reporting up to $785,000 worth of stocks in their portfolio. The report comes days after the 85-year-old announced she won't be seeking re-election.
This is the kind of stuff that makes people just hate government, hate politicians. It's disgusting. I don't know why she just walks away from it with nothing happening to her. That's clearly inside information. There's no way she got stuff.
Apparently, it is a very, very profitable business to be in politics.
Yeah.
She fought the stock trading ban her entire career. She's blocked it. She's killed it. Now she's getting ready to retire and walk away with every dime. And once she leaves, no more disclosures. She goes completely dark. Won't have to tell anybody what she's doing. But what happens if a regular citizen, someone like you or me, who isn't in Congress, does this exact same thing? Well, that just happened to a guy named Justin Jennings. Justin is a regular American, just like you and me. He looked at his girlfriend's work laptop. That's all he did. He peered into her laptop. He found confidential info about an upcoming merger, and he made $2.7 million. He traded, he got the information, and he made $2.7 million. But the SEC charged him, and the Department of Justice filed criminal charges. He actually faces prison time. Meanwhile, members of Congress sit in all these classified briefings. They regulate entire industries and trade millions in the stocks that they personally oversee. And yet, no charges, no investigations, just a PDF filed 45 days later. 6,170 trades in just 16 months. And this week, the Democrats are voting to make sure it never stops. The gravy train must keep rolling. Never let it stop. But here's what Congress didn't plan on. Every single one of those trades is public. Every ticker, every dollar amount, every date, it's all on the record. And it always has been. But it has been made specifically hard to find by these same corrupt congressional people. The question is, are you following the money? Because my next guest has spent 20 years doing exactly that. And what he's found will change the way you think about investing forever. My guest today is Ross Givens. He's been on the show a few times, and he's been following this closer than anyone. Ross knows exactly how these people operate. Congressional members like Nancy Pelosi, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna are actually profiting off the backs of hardworking patriots. Ross is a 20-year veteran of the stock market. He has worked as a broker, a fund manager, and vice president of investment management at J.P. Morgan Chase. He is the leading authority on insider trading. And when I first heard Ross explain exactly how this works and how it's actually legal for them to do this, I couldn't believe it myself. The silver lining with all of this is that their trades are public information, and Ross has been following them for years to outperform the stock market. He's taught thousands of people how to do it. He's agreed to hold a live trading event on Wednesday, July 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Completely free. A free training to show you exactly how all of this works, where you can learn the secrets to piggybacking these completely legal insider trades. The link to the free training is in the description below, and you're not going to want to miss this. It's completely free, like I said, just for the Fanfare family here. You can also visit insidertradeswithbarry.com to reserve your spot. But before we talk about all the training, let's bring Ross in. So Ross, you're on the front lines of this amazing corruption. And Ro Khanna, one of the congressmen who's been egregious, has made 25,000 trades in Congress. 42 a week. His net worth skyrocketed from 800,000 to nearly 30 million. He sits on the Armed Services and Oversight Committees. Tell me how a sitting congressman outperforms every hedge fund on the planet.
They cheat. Yeah, that's the simple form. And you said it, right? He's on the Armed Services Committee. He's on the Oversight Committee. All his buddies are the ones designing the budget and who's getting funds. I mean, look, these guys like to say, I'm hands off. I'm not handling my stock investments. 25,000 trades, 42 trades a week. And look, I used to be a VP at JP Morgan. Okay. I managed lots of money. I know what it's like to rebalance. Uh-huh. It wouldn't be 42 trades a week. Like, it's just unnecessary. The only reason you are making that many movements and being that active is if you're trying to take advantage of things you are learning or know.
And yet he calls himself a socialist. That's the funniest thing about it. It's like you're making money hand over fist, but you're a socialist. I can't wait till they try and come after him. But this isn't just one person. Am I correct? No. It's everyone. I mean, 6,000 plus trades in 16 months. 56% of these trades have been industries that they themselves regulate. And then just yesterday, I think the Democrats just killed the bill for them to ban all this crazy stock trading. And Nancy Pelosi was one of the people who said, no, we don't want to do this. Yeah. Is it ever going to change?
No, it's never going to change. It's, listen, it's their honey hole, right? I mean, it's so out in the open. We're aware of this. We know everyone comes to Congress and leaves richer. How is that? How could it possibly be that $180,000 salary and now needing a home and traveling expenses in DC, you get richer? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is what they're doing. Yes, Democrats stopped it this time. Next time the Republicans may stop it. I mean, I don't know, but the usual trick they pull. See, Pelosi used to head this up, right? When she was Speaker of the House, she'd make sure these bills got attached to something toxic or got voted on, midnight on Christmas Eve or something. Republicans signed this one, and then they attached to it the voter ID bill. Right. I don't know if the Republicans did that to not get it passed, or they're going, well, we're supposed to all be in agreement on this. But like, either way, if they really wanted it, if these guys really wanted this, they would bring a singular bill just voting to stop individual stock trading. There would be nothing attached to it. And that never happens. They could do it in an afternoon. They're not going to.
Well, it has happened where they've brought single bills, but those bills has been when they wanted to have a pay raise. And for some reason, those things always get passed. They get passed 100 to 0. Isn't
that wild how that happens?
It's crazy. Yet somebody like this guy, Justin Jennings, he faces prison for $2.7 million in profits, I guess, that he made. Congress trades billions with no consequences. How do you explain this discrepancy to a regular person?
They're writing the laws. I mean, look, Trump, I don't know what his exact approval rating is. I know Biden's was terrible. It seems every president, they get lower and lower. But consistently across the board, Congress is like 10, 12%. I mean, somehow we elect these people. They have the lowest approval rating across the board. And it's they just get away with this stuff. That Jennings guy you mentioned, he did something illegal, right? He overheard his wife talking about a merger that her company was going to do. He says, I'm going to be a good husband, goes and throws their whole 401k into the stock, makes a bunch of money. Like, honey, I didn't want to tell you, but we're rich. And she turns him in. It's a whole thing. But look, what he did was wrong. He should be prosecuted for it. But so should have Pelosi. So should half the members of Congress. And it's just a typical, rules for thee, not for me situation.
And, I'm sure with the jobs that you've held, you've had to get your Series 7s and all the different licenses and it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of know-how. These trades are all public record. How can an everyday American, people who just watch our videos, actually find these trades and use them for their own benefit?
Well, now you're talking, Barry, because that's the real silver lining to all this. This stuff really doesn't get me worked up anymore, and it won't get you worked up either if you make $10,000 or $20,000 following their trade. It's amazing how little it bothers you suddenly, right? But that's the only plus side to this. And the Stock Act, which was passed back in 2011 or 12, I think, didn't stop insider trading, but it did make it a requirement that they report these publicly, so you can see every trade a member of Congress makes. You can even see the trades that corporate insiders like CEOs and CFOs make. And so what we've done, we've been doing this for a decade now, is just look for those real standout opportunities. So the ones you see where 4, 5, 6 members that sit on some a defense committee are all buying a little defense stock.
Yeah.
Or this little senator that hasn't bought a single stock in 2 years and is now loading the boat of this little pharmaceutical company, or something that they are affecting the outcome of that stock or that sector. And so, Ro Khanna's placing 42 trades a week. Like, you're not going to follow all of those. But there are some that are just painfully obvious. And so if you learn how to find this stuff, and I'm having that free event coming up this Wednesday, the 29th at 3 o'clock, I show everybody how to do this because these records are publicly available. There's a free online database, one for the Senate, one for the House. There's another for these corporate insiders. I'll show you how to access them, how to read them, what to look for, what to look out for, and just kind of show you what we've done to outperform the market over the last decade. Because I think this is a huge advantage for the everyday investor that most people are just not using.
And you say everyday investor, but there's a lot of people who watch my videos who aren't everyday investors. They're looking at this stuff. They're seeing everybody profiting, and they are going to need some really good direction. So can you walk people through what they're going to learn at the free training on Wednesday, the 29th?
Well, what I try to do is take the last 10 years of my life and put it into a 1-hour presentation. I've done this a couple dozen times. I'm pretty good at it now. So I try to give you a framework to follow because, look, there's a ton of this stuff out there. There's tons of politicians making tons of trades, same with CEOs and CFOs. So what I try to show you how to do is just filter out the noise, right? We're not looking for 20, 30, 50 trades a day. We're looking for 2 or 3 a month that are just real no-brainers. So like I said, if I see several members of a defense subcommittee all going on a little defense company, that may be one to get on. If you see, for example, Pelosi, or another high-ranking member of Congress, she's on the way out, about to vote on some antitrust regulation, and they're buying the company they're regulating, odds are they're going to be fine. On the corporate side, we got this one little pharmaceutical stock about to report phase 2 drug trials. The week before the report comes out, 11 people at the company bought the stock. CEO, CFO, VP, board, chief medical officer. We're like, obviously, the trials are going well. Shocker, the stock quadrupled in 4 months, right? So you're just looking for those. You're tuning out 99.9% of this stuff and just looking for the absolute no-brainer. So I'll show you where it is, what our big winners have had in common, how you can do this yourself quite easily, and hopefully people can make some money alongside it. Now, everyone who registers, by the way, I'm going to send them our most recent trade report. So it's going to be the full research report with our latest insider picks. So who's buying, what's going on with the company, and you'll get that as soon as you register. And so I send that out, one, as kind of a freebie, but two, I want you to see what's available to you, what's out there. So you'll get that, and we even send you the recording after the presentation. So even if you can't come live on Wednesday, make sure to register for that. We'll send it out to you the next day, but it's extremely eye-opening. And as I said, I think everyday Americans should be taking advantage of it.
And there's 2 caveats that I want to give everybody watching. One, and Ross, you can underscore this is completely legal. We're not doing anything untoward where you have to worry about getting caught, except for possibly paying your taxes on the back end. So it's completely legal. And number 2, it's not a lottery ticket. And I think a lot of people might get lazy and understand what Ross is going to do is actually show you what to do and what to look for, but you actually got to do the work. You have to sit down and say, this is what I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make it the best I possibly can. And then you've got somebody like Ross who's going to say, this is what to look for. Is that true?
Yeah, so we do have a service. We do this for our members. We've been running it since 2017. We've outperformed the market substantially over that time. So after seeing this, if you're like, this looks great, I don't want to do the work. I want y'all to do it for you. You can join our service if you like, but I'll teach you everything. But, at the end of the day, as an investor, look, it's not overly complicated. Your goal is to make as much as you can and risk as little as you can, right? So the first thing is handle the risk, right? You don't want to lose a bunch of your money. So how do you filter down stocks or investments that are going to have less risk? Well, the ones where the CEO and the CFO and the board of directors and the VPs are all buying is probably at worst not a bad time to buy long term. And at best, maybe a great time to buy because they're about to report some merger or earnings blowout or something like that. But generally, the people running a company would not be putting hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money into it before they report some disaster, right? So that just following insiders is going to greatly reduce the overall risk of stock selection. And then the upside is also increased because we're looking for those buys that appear opportunistic, right? So you've got people that always buy right before big moves, or normally this company sees 1 or 2 buys a year. There's been 7 in a week, or something that's just that appears to be opportunistic, right? And so you're simultaneously chasing stocks that should be of less investment risk, while also having a higher likelihood of potentially being a big earnings beat, or a drug trial, or a merger, or a contract, or something like that. So it makes a lot of sense in those terms. When I lay this out on Wednesday, most people get it like that, but they need someone that's been doing this for a long time that can show them, okay, here's what to look for. Now, this is going to look good, but it's not. Here's why. So that's what I try to do on these Wednesday trading sessions. We usually do 1 or 2 a quarter. I think this is maybe the 8th or 9th one, but we got great feedback from your viewers last time. I appreciate you inviting them for us, and we look forward to doing it again.
Well, I look forward to hearing back from them, because they all come back to me and say, hey, it was phenomenal. I got this information. And I always ask them, well, did you act on it yet? That's the second part. It's nice to digest stuff, but then you got to act on it. Otherwise, you're going to stay in the same situation. So, Ross, I look forward to hearing back on the 30th how everybody enjoyed and got some information from your webinar on the 29th. And thank you very much for taking your time today.
My pleasure. Good to see you, Barry.
Right, bye-bye.